There is a silent force that resides within the soul of every person who has ever achieved greatness, a force that is often misunderstood as a burden, but is, in reality, the highest form of self-love. We call it discipline. It is the bridge between goals and accomplishment, the constant companion of the winner, and the quiet architect of a life well lived. Most people view discipline as a cage, a set of restrictive bars that prevent them from enjoying the whims of the moment. They see it as a punishment they must endure to reach a distant prize. But I am here to tell you that discipline is not a cage. It is the key that unlocks the door to your ultimate freedom. Without discipline, you are a slave to your moods, a servant to your impulses, and a victim of your environment. You are like a ship without a rudder, tossed about by the waves of circumstance, drifting wherever the winds of emotion blow you. But with discipline, you become the captain of your soul. You gain the power to steer your life toward the horizon of your choosing, regardless of how rough the seas may become. Discipline is the ability to choose what you want most over what you want right now. It is the rejection of immediate gratification that tastes sweet for a second, but leaves a bitter aftertaste of regret. It is the commitment to the process when the excitement of the initial idea has faded into the gray mist of daily toil. Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most proud. Was it when you took the easy way out? Was it when you hit the snooze button 5 times and crawled through your day in a fog of procrastination? You felt proud when you did the hard thing. You felt alive when you pushed through the resistance, when you showed up for yourself when no one was watching, and when you kept the promises you made in the dark. That feeling of self-respect is the direct fruit of discipline. It is an internal wealth that no one can take from you. We live in a world that worships talent. We see the athlete breaking records, the entrepreneur building empires, and the artist creating masterpieces, and we often chalk it up to some mystical gift they were born with. But talent is a spark. Discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire burning. Talent will get you in the door, but only discipline will keep you in the room. There are countless people with immense talent who are currently sitting on the sidelines of life because they lack the character to do the work. Conversely, the world is full of average people who became extraordinary simply because they refused to quit. They understood that showing up is 80% of the battle. They understood that the repetitive, mundane, and often boring tasks are the bricks that build the palace of success. The truth is that the secret to success isn't a secret at all. It is the mundane consistency of doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Motivation is a fickle friend. It comes and goes like the seasons. If you only work when you are motivated, you will never achieve anything significant. Motivation is for the amateur, discipline is for the professional. The professional knows that the muse doesn't visit those who wait for her, she visits those who are already at their desks, with their tools in hand, working through the silence. Discipline is the guardian of your potential. Inside of you, there is a version of yourself that is capable of things you haven't even dared to dream of yet. But that version of you is trapped behind a wall of comfort. Comfort is the enemy of growth. It is the warm, soft bed that convinces you to stay asleep while the world passes you by. Discipline is the courage to throw off the covers and face the cold morning air. It is the recognition that growth only happens in the stretch zone, where things are difficult, where your muscles ache, and where your brain feels tired. Every time you exercise discipline, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. You are building a track record of reliability with yourself. And when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. Consider the nature of a diamond. It is nothing more than a piece of coal that handled stress exceptionally well. It was subjected to intense pressure and heat for a long duration. It didn't complain, it didn't try to escape, it just endured until it was transformed into the hardest and most beautiful substance on earth. Your life is no different. The pressures you face, the demands on your time, the requirements of your craft, these are not obstacles to your greatness. They are the very tools being used to forge it. If you run from the pressure, you remain coal. If you embrace the discipline of the process, you become the diamond. This requires a shift in perspective. You must stop seeing discipline as an enemy and start seeing it as your greatest ally. It is the filter that separates the pretenders from the contenders. It is the price of admission to the life you say you want. Everyone wants the result, but few people want the process. Everyone wants the view from the peak of the mountain, but few want the blisters and the heavy breathing of the climb. But the view is only beautiful because of the climb. If you were teleported to the top, you wouldn't appreciate the horizon. You appreciate it because you know what it costs you to get there. Discipline is the currency of achievement. Let us look at the day-to-day reality of this virtue. Discipline starts small. It starts with the way you make your bed. It starts with the way you speak to yourself in the mirror. It starts with the decision to eat the food that fuels you rather than the food that drains you. These small wins create a momentum that carries you into the bigger battles. If you cannot master the small things, you will never be trusted with the big things. The universe is watching how you handle the now. If you are sloppy with your current responsibilities, why would you be given more? Discipline is the proof that you are ready for the next level. It is the ultimate form of preparation. When opportunity knocks, it doesn't wait for you to get ready. It only opens for those who are already prepared. And preparation is nothing more than disciplined practice over a long period. It is the late nights and the early mornings. It is the no to the party so you can say yes to your future. It is the willingness to be misunderstood by those who don't have your vision. People will call you obsessed. They will tell you to relax and live a little. But you know that you are living more than they are because you are living with purpose. You are living by design, not by default. You are crafting a legacy, one disciplined action at a time. As we move deeper into the heart of a disciplined life, we must address the primary battlefield where this war is won or lost, the human mind. Every act of discipline begins with a thought, and every failure of discipline begins with a compromise. The mind is a powerful servant but a dangerous master. It is designed to seek safety, to conserve energy, and to avoid pain. This biological hardwiring was useful when we were dodging predators on the savannah, but in the modern world, it is the very thing that keeps us mediocre. Your mind will tell you that you've done enough. It will whisper that one day off won't matter. It will provide 1,000 logical reasons why you should quit. Discipline is the art of talking back to your mind. It is the ability to observe those thoughts of weakness and say, I hear you, but we are going anyway. It is the mental toughness to override the governor in your brain that tries to shut you down when things get uncomfortable. Mastery of the self is the highest form of mastery. You can lead an army, you can manage a corporation, you can influence millions, but if you cannot control your own impulses, you are essentially powerless. The secret to sustaining discipline over the long haul is the transition from willpower to habit. Willpower is a limited resource. It is like a battery that drains throughout the day as you make decisions and resist temptations. If you rely solely on willpower, you will eventually fail because the battery will run dry. Discipline, however, uses willpower to build habits, and habits are the autopilot of excellence. Once a behavior becomes a habit, it no longer requires the same mental effort. It becomes part of who you are. The marathon runner doesn't have to debate whether to run in the morning. They are a runner, and running is what they do. The writer doesn't have to find the will to write. They are a writer, and writing is their rhythm. By applying intense discipline to the first few weeks of a new endeavor, you are essentially programming your nervous system. You are carving deep grooves in your brain that make the right choice the easy choice. This is why the beginning is always the hardest. The rocket ship uses most of its fuel in the first few minutes of launch to overcome the gravity of the Earth. Once it reaches orbit, it can travel thousands of miles with almost no effort. Your discipline is the thrust that gets you out of the gravity of your old habits. We must also understand that discipline is a form of integrity. When you set a goal and you don't follow through, you're essentially lying to yourself. Every time you break a commitment to yourself, your self-esteem takes a hit. You begin to see yourself as someone whose word doesn't matter. This creates a cycle of failure. But when you exercise discipline, you are keeping your word. You are proving to yourself that you are a person of substance. This builds an unshakable confidence. This isn't the loud, arrogant confidence that masks insecurity. It is the quiet, calm confidence of someone who knows they can rely on themselves. It is the peace of mind that comes from knowing that regardless of what happens in the outside world, you have the internal structure to handle it. A disciplined person is never truly lost because they carry their foundation with them. They are not dependent on external validation because they have internal validation. They know they did the work. They know they didn't cut corners. They know they gave everything they had, and that knowledge is a fortress. Discipline also requires us to embrace the law of delayed gratification. We live in a society of now. We want the wealth without the work, the fitness without the sweat, and the wisdom without the experience. We are bombarded with advertisements promising shortcuts and hacks, but there are no hacks to a disciplined life. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. You cannot plant a seed today and expect a harvest tomorrow. There is a period of waiting, a period of nurturing, and a period of protecting the growth that is happening beneath the surface. Discipline is the patience to stay the course during that waiting period. It is the faith to keep watering the ground even when you don't see any green shoots. Most people quit right before their breakthrough because they cannot handle the silence of the waiting. They mistake a lack of visible progress for a lack of actual progress. But in the world of discipline, nothing is wasted. Every workout, every study session, every late-night brainstorm is a deposit in the bank of your future. The interest is compounding, even if you can't see the balance yet. One of the most profound aspects of discipline is how it affects your relationships and your impact on others. A disciplined person is a person of influence. People are naturally drawn to those who have control over themselves. We respect the person who is punctual, the person who keeps their temper, and the person who follows through on their promises. Your discipline serves as a silent invitation for others to rise to a higher standard. When you lead a disciplined life, you are not just helping yourself, you are providing a blueprint for everyone around you. You are showing your children what it looks like to have character. You are showing your colleagues what excellence looks like. You are showing your community that it is possible to live with intention. In this way, discipline is an act of service. It is the refinement of your vessel so that you can be of greater use to the world. A chaotic life can rarely help others, but a disciplined life is a lighthouse in a storm. It provides stability, clarity, and hope. In this final movement, we must look at the long-term transformation that discipline brings to the human spirit. There is a common myth that discipline kills spontaneity and joy. People fear that if they become too disciplined, they will become robots, devoid of passion and life. But the exact opposite is true. Discipline is the creator of joy. Think about the joy of a musician who has spent 20 years mastering their instrument. Because they had the discipline to practice the scales, the chords, and the theory, they now have the freedom to play anything they feel. They can improvise, they can create, they can express their soul with a fluid ease that the undisciplined can never know. The person who lacks the discipline to practice is free to play whatever they want, but they can't play anything well. Their lack of discipline has limited their freedom. This principle applies to every area of existence. The person with financial discipline has the freedom to give generously and travel the world. The person with physical discipline has the freedom to hike mountains and play with their grandchildren. The person with mental discipline has the freedom to focus on what matters and ignore the noise of anxiety. True freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want. It is the mastery over the wanting itself. It is the ability to align your actions with your highest values. When you reach this level of discipline, life takes on a different texture. The grind is no longer a burden. It becomes a ritual. You begin to fall in love with the work itself, not just the reward. You find a deep, meditative peace in the repetition. You realize that the goal was never the destination. The goal was the transformation of the person who reached it. The trophies will gather dust. The money will be spent. The accolades will fade from memory. But the person you became, the disciplined, resilient, focused, and powerful version of yourself that is yours forever. That is the true legacy of discipline. It is a transformation of the very fabric of your being. You move from being a person who tries to a person who is. As you move forward from this moment, I want you to stop waiting for the perfect conditions to start your disciplined life. There will never be a time when all the lights are green at once. There will always be a crisis to manage, a distraction to avoid, or a reason to delay. Discipline is not something you find in a moment of peace. It is something you forge in the heat of the struggle. Start where you are. Here's what you have. What you can. If you have fallen off the path, do not waste time in the valley of guilt. Guilt is just another form of self-indulgence that keeps you from doing the work. Simply stand up, dust yourself off, and make the next right choice. Win choice. That is all it takes to restart the engine of discipline. You don't have to figure out the next 10 years, you just have to figure out the next 10 minutes. The world needs your discipline. We are living in an era of unprecedented distraction, a time where it is easier than ever to be mediocre. The path of least resistance is more crowded than it has ever been. By choosing the path of discipline, you are separating yourself from the masses. You are becoming a leader in a world that is desperate for direction. You are becoming a light in a world that is often dim. Your discipline is your contribution to the collective human spirit. It is an assertion that the human will is stronger than any algorithm, any temptation, and any obstacle. It is a declaration of your sovereignty. You are not a machine, you are not a statistic, and you are not a victim of your biology. You are a conscious being with the divine capacity to shape your destiny through the power of your choices. In the end, we all must suffer one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. Regret is the ghost of the person you could have been, standing over your shoulder at the end of your life, showing you what you could have achieved if you had only had the courage to be disciplined. Do not let that ghost haunt you. Choose the pain of discipline today. Embrace the sweat, the focus, the no's, and the long hours. Because on the other side of that pain is a version of you that is radiant, capable, and free. On the other side of that discipline is a life that is not just lived, but mastered. You have the power within you right now. It is not in a book, it is not in a video, and it is not in the hands of someone else. It is in your next decision. Will you give in or will you go on? Will you settle or will you strive? Will you be a passenger or will you be the pilot? The clock is ticking and the canvas of your life is waiting for the next stroke. Make it a disciplined one. Make it a bold one. Make it a masterpiece.